Hello and welcome back to the Conscious Contact podcast. My name is Genay Peavey and I'm here with my co-host Susan Sanders. And we're getting deep again today. Not that we don't on every other episode, but these topics have been like one after the other. Faith. I'm going to let you start that because this could go in so many different ways.
Oh, I don't know that I'm really one to kick this off because I have none.
I would question that and we'll find out by the end.
Yeah. So this is not about strictly faith and religion.
Yeah.
Because I believe that faith in church, I don't have a lot of experience, especially positive experience with faith in church. Faith in church and religion. So I really want to take us down the path of like faith in people. What does that mean? So I don't know. What do you think when you think of faith and if you want to start with the idea of faith and religion, I think that besides the George Michael song Faith, the first thing I think of with the word faith is religion.
Yeah. It's interesting because I totally see that connection and that word is used in every religion because you have faith in whatever you call your higher power, whatever God is in your particular religion. Yeah, when I hear faith, I think it is, to me, I think of courage because I believe to have faith means you do have to have a lot of courage and let go of fear to be able to jump into that faith. And I also think of just like higher power in general, giving having faith that things are going to work out the way that they are supposed to, whether or not that is my version of what things are supposed to be. I have to have faith that when I got sober, I had to have faith that whatever other people were doing was working for them, obviously. And I had to, say, I'm just going to try this and it might not work for me. Jump before I see the landing. And that is hard. I mean, that takes a lot of letting go. So when I think of faith, I think a lot of like, what is I remember I was looking at some kind of saying, faith is fear that has said its prayers. And to me, like the meaning of faith is I'm afraid of something, or I'm working through something, or I'm thinking about something, and I'm giving that to something else. So like when I think of people, oh God, I have zero faith in people because that word is a little bigger to me, and also I don't have a lot of faith in most people. I think of it as just this bigger scenario of I have to like live my life and have purpose in my life. I have to have faith that like either a hard situation is going to get better, or that, the tomorrow will actually come, the sun will actually rise in the morning. That is still faith. You can think about it and intellectualize it all you want and know what the solar system looked like, all of that. Or faith is when you flick a light switch, you have faith that the light is going to turn on. You don't know for sure if that it is. You just it's like an assumption that becomes fact because you've taken it in. I don't know if that makes any sense, but.
Well, you touched on something there at the end that is what I think my blocker is that I tend to default to the intellectual and the scientific. And I don't see electricity as faith because that's science. Like, okay, then if it doesn't come on, then you do this, you do this, you do this. So, and that is a story that often comes up in the recovery, like, oh, you have faith that in electricity, you don't know how it works. Well, I kind of do because I can read about it.
What I would put to you then is you have faith you're going to wake up in the morning.
Right. So that's where I was going with that, is that I do intellectualize, even if I can't say it, and get all sciencey on it. And that was a barrier for recovery for me at the beginning. Like, well, I don't have any experience with God. I don't have a religion to go back on. I'm full of fear, and I'm
Mm.
certainly not going to say that I know how to pray. So
Mhm.
how can I do anything with this fear to get to faith if I don't have anything, like I don't have a prayer life to back up on? And so what I was told and what worked for me is, if you want what I it, like if I see another woman in the program, if you want they have, you have to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I believed that, or I believed it enough for today. So let me do what the other woman did today,
Yeah.
and then tomorrow we'll see what happens. And okay,
Yes.
it worked for me yesterday, so I'm going to do that again today. And it was like step by step by step. Um so then that does give me faith that the other person knows what they're talking about. But then what I ran into is, well, now what do I do when that person relapses?
Mm.
What do I do when that person doesn't do what they say they're going to do and comes in and acts like a person?
Mm.
Because people are fallible.
Mhm.
And what I think is, okay, well, then I don't have faith. I had faith in that person. So, and I'm kind of walking you through my argument here, but then it is, what did I put my faith in,
Yeah.
rather than the faith being wrong? It's what I put my faith
Yes.
in.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
then I feel like I'm sort of back to square one. Like, okay, well, maybe I don't have faith then, because I still don't understand. And it has evolved as I've gone through sobriety in the last 5+ years, because I've developed a higher power of my own understanding.
Mhm.
It's not my belief, it's my understanding. And I have learned, oh my God, I can change my mind. I can add to what the higher power, or the God of my understanding, or my higher power is.
Yeah.
I can change it. I can add to it. I can take things away. I've got my own visual. Okay, so I have faith in that.
Yeah.
So that was a whole lot of words. Let me pause.
Yeah. No, that is exactly my definition as well. That's exactly what I was trying to put into words at the beginning. I mean, that's faith in other humans will let me down every time.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying I don't expect the best out of people or, whatever. It's just right sizing the fact that people are humans and they have
Yes.
free will.
Right.
What a concept. And if I put my faith in like overall good and faith that their words and their principles are things that can guide me, and whether or not they live up to that, it doesn't matter. Like
Mm-hmm.
if someone shares something in a meeting that's really good, I write it down. And there's plenty of notes that I have in my book that from people that have gone back out or that have passed away from this disease, what they said and the feeling behind it and what they meant at the moment stands no matter what. No matter if they
Right.
lived up to their own ideals, that idea that they gave me, I can have faith in that idea because it resonated with me because I can connect it to my greater faith, like all of that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it is really hard. I mean, faith in people in general, I don't even know where to go with that because it is this
Mm-hmm.
tricky situation. I I think that I can assume the best and not put my faith in someone. Like not
Mm-hmm.
and when I say put my faith in, for me, putting my faith in something means I am relying upon that to give me some source of strength or comfort or acceptance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to rely on people for that. Um, other than like good friends or my partner or whatever. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I know that they are still a human,
Right.
and I can
Mm-hmm.
lean on them for support, but I can't expect them to take away my fears and worries and, fix my inner life. That's got to
Right.
be something bigger. And it can't be reliant on them because people can leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their right. And it's their right to be fallible and fucked up just like me. And it
Yeah.
it is hard to put your faith in the right place and not get it all tangled up in other stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Put your faith in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that helps when I'm disappointed by other people,
Mhm.
because that doesn't mean that, because I I use the word faith and trust interchangeably, and I don't know that that is necessarily the right use of those words,
Mm.
but that does strike me. So like, it strikes me as the right use of it in most of these scenarios. So if I trust somebody to do what they say they're going to do,
Mhm.
and then they don't do what they said they were going to do, well, it doesn't mean that I have to burn that whole relationship down,
Yeah.
which is quite a revelation that I've come to in the last 5
Right?
years. Um, what I can go back to is that person is a human being and has their own stuff going on,
Yes.
and they probably had good intention of doing what they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
And yes, I am still talking about the SodaStream example that we talked about last episode. However, that
I
other
love it.
person, Paul, does have his or her own life. He's got his own things going on. And this goes for
Yes.
everybody, all joking aside.
Mhm.
People have their own stuff happening
Yeah.
and their own priorities.
Mhm.
And I am not the middle of their priorities.
No, and, like, I kinda don't wanna be unless they're, like, my parent or my significant other because that's a lot of pressure
Right.
also, because then they're making me their higher power or what they're putting their faith in.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you put in the middle of your life, that is your higher power. Whether
Hmm.
it's your job or your spouse or your kids or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
not saying those things are bad. It's just saying you're putting a human at the center of your faith structure who could
Yes.
have a bad day and let you down.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're questioning the whole world. And
Right,
that's,
and all of your
ooh,
judgment and all of that. Yeah,
yes.
it's like what I said at the beginning, like I'm throwing my faith out when a person disappoints me.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
which side of the balloon are we really focusing on here? Which one are we squeezing?
Yeah.
What makes the most sense?
Yeah. And damn, it's hard to like untangle. I mean, it is so hard because it is
Mhm.
good to rely on other people and ask for help.
Right.
It is. That is like a healthy thing to do to know how to ask for help and know where you are weak and others are strong and collaborate in that way.
Mhm.
But it's hard to know where that ends and you relying on them to solve your problems begins, or
Mhm.
you not being able to learn how to handle things on your own begins, or
Right.
like with everything on this podcast, it takes a ton of inner work to see that. To
Mhm.
okay, this is a this is a great example, and I won't go down the rabbit hole too far on this. Luke just randomly asked me the other day. He's like, "What does codependence mean?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Where the fuck did you hear that?"
Yeah,
Like,
that's a big word to drop over like a bowl of oatmeal.
yeah, I'm like, this is a big idea. Okay, so hold on a second. Because he's like, why is that bad? Why do people think codependence is bad? And I'm like, okay, there's a book. Here's a book for you to read. Here's some. I didn't give him all this, but in my head, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah.
I've had book studies on a book called Codependence No More.
Melody Beatty.
It's, oh my God, it's great. Because he's like, I
Yeah.
don't see why it's such a bad thing. And I'm like, okay, well, first off, you're a normal person. you're
Yeah.
you are not an addict. You don't have dysfunctional ways of dealing with life. I mean, he's a human, so I'm sure there are some, but he is a very normal, well-adjusted, deals with life on in a consistent way. Has his faith in the right place, even though he has no particular faith in a
Mm.
higher power. He
Mhm.
like faith in general um good and bad like types of actions and who he wants to be as a human.
Yeah.
It was so because he was just arguing hardcore for codependence as a good thing. And I could see his argument and I'm just like my disease in my head was telling me like don't you listen too much to that, Genay,
Right.
because I'm not normal. So for him it's
Yeah.
very different. He's like, I do depend on you for things because you are my partner in life. And there are things that I can't do that you can, and vice versa. And he says, why would I not depend on you?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. That is a lovely ideal.
Mhm.
If there's something else behind that. If you also have faith that I am a fallible human being and I will let you down and
Mhm.
that you know me in that way, because I can't be, and this is the other argument he made, and it is hard for me to argue with him because he just, he puts things in his perspective and speaks from experience, and that makes the most valid argument for anything.
Right. Yep. Always.
And yeah, and he's like, all my eggs are in your basket. And I was like, yeah, same. All my eggs are in your basket. That's not what we're talking about here. But he's like, I do depend on you for my happiness. You do give me the happiness in my life. And I said, okay. But I'm not your only source of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, but if you're unhappy, I am unhappy. And I'm like, yeah, that's codependence.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not like an okay coping mechanism. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just going to be unhappy because I have cyclical depression and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. And I don't want you to be depressed right along with me.
Right.
I don't want you and I don't want you to feel like you need to jump into action to save me from that because
Right.
there's nothing you can do.
It's not his job to fix you.
Yeah. And he was like, well, you're my partner and shouldn't I be there to help you if you need fixing? And I'm like, yes, but
Yeah.
it's so
I'm also a human being. I
tangly.
don't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not a dishwasher.
well, I don't know. Sometimes I do. I could use a tune up every now and then. And he is very good at that.
Yeah.
Like just holding up a mirror and being like, do you see what you're being right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna let you figure out what word to put to it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what's happening. Here's reality, Genay. Yeah. Here's how you just reacted to this. But it's tangly. It's so tangly to care about another human being, to know and trust, again, like trust and faith.
Mm-hmm.
Trust to be able to depend on them because of all of their previous actions up until that point. I can trust that I can depend on them
Yes.
from previous actions or for them to be on time or not on time. I have friends that I can trust will
Right.
be late.
Mm-hmm.
They will be.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily have faith in them or their actions. I have faith that things are going to work out for the best, whether they're late or on time,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily like connect that with them. I definitely did in the past. I
Mhm.
definitely made people my higher power and let them control my life and had
Mhm.
faith that they were either going to fix something or burn it down or,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has assumption wrapped up in it too.
That's very true. Yep.
Faith can lead into assumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which leads back to managing expectations.
Uh-huh.
And we can definitely link to that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, that episode, flows right into that.
How has faith changed for you in sobriety?
We don't have enough time to talk about that.
Or it's a very quick answer. Every way.
Every way.
The end. What's your choice?
I mean, yeah. Long story short, I came in as an atheist agnostic with a really bad distrust of organized religion and having faith in people in general from childhood trauma and experiences with a particular structured religion that exists in the South. And I came into sobriety and started realizing that my spiritual life was coming back. And I had faith in a power greater than myself, but I didn't call it God. And it was more of like the universe's ability to make each snowflake unique and how there's no way I'll ever be able to comprehend that, no matter how many books I read on it.
Yes.
Because
Falling back on the intellect.
Yes, because I'm the same way. I will intellectualize anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, it's the world came to existence from the Big Bang, and I can follow the science here, and I can, I was reading the book called The God Delusion the first couple of months I was sober, which, I mean, God bless me, poor thing. Because I wanted to argue with people. I'm like, there's no reason to have a God, and I was listening to a lot of Ricky Gervais, and he makes that argument that you can have a basic concept of good and evil without religion and just all of those things. I was trying to intellectualize it.
Right.
And you cannot do that. I cannot do that and have a faith in anything.
Right.
Because I will say, well, it's not faith because I know.
Right.
Faith means you don't know.
Right.
Faith means you are or you're not looking before you leap. I mean, faith is saying, I may have seen how this played out for someone else. I may have a general conception of how this works, but I have to have, I'm going to use the word in the definition, so let me figure out another way around that. I reasonably believe, I started with that. I was like, I can reasonably believe that I'm going to wake up in the morning. There's no guarantee of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that is what I believed. And this was long conversations with my first sponsor. And she's like, that is faith. You're saying you reasonably believe you're going to wake up in the morning, but you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I could have a stroke in the middle of the night. I could suffocate because of carbon monoxide from a gas leak.
Or a
There's
cat on your
anything.
face.
True
Or
that.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
There could be the house could collapse on me. A multitude of different things could happen. But most people still go to sleep assuming they're going to wake up the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
That is faith, because I don't know. I cannot say with any reasonable certainty that I know, because I don't have a time machine to go to tomorrow and see if I wake up.
And I think that kind of assumption feels right because it's not necessarily tied to another person.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is how my
I don't want
faith
to put
started.
words in your mouth.
No, 100%. That is how my faith started. That was my sponsor kind of showing me, you can't say you don't have faith. If you've ever been in love, you've had faith.
Mm.
You put your reliance in another human being wholeheartedly
Mm-hmm.
and jumped without looking. I mean, that is faith.
But then I say, well, it turned out real bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. There's no expectation of the outcome on faith.
Mm.
There's no outcome going on.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to digest too. It was just faith that life will happen as it should.
Uh-huh.
Even if it seems like that's the worst option to me at the time, even though it seems like that's the bad version or that turned out bad, maybe not. Because I had a lot of relationships that ended really badly. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right. Right. I can't remember the context of this, but it came up recently where I said to someone that no sometimes means not yet.
Yes.
Not yet. Not them. Not here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've upped my meeting, so that's helped tremendously. But I was at a meeting yesterday morning and they were talking about there's only 3 answers to a prayer. And I was like, what? Hold on.
Yeah.
No, yes, and not yet.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know I've heard this, but I can't remember the punchline, I'll call it.
Yeah. No, because it is a
Yeah.
punchline, because if you can't laugh, you're just going to cry. And the only prayers we should be really thanking God for are the no's.
Oh.
Or no, wait a second. The only we should be thanking God mostly for our unanswered prayers.
Right. That I get.
Yes, that was the caveat.
Yeah.
Because there's always something better. If your prayer does not get answered, one, it might just mean not yet and things just need to materialize. But most of the time when I get a no, that means that there's something so much better on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I just can't see it because I have my expectations set at a certain level and I know what I want and this is the best option and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I have to let go of that and have faith that whatever the outcome is, it will be for the best, either now or in the future in some way, shape, or form, either for me or for someone else.
Yep. And just because I can't see it doesn't mean that my faith is wrong.
Yeah.
Because my faith based in my intellectual, I can only have faith in it if I can see it or explain it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that whole idea of the universe and all this stuff and whatever. Well, I don't care how much Stephen Hawking I could read and listen to. I still can't explain it.
Yeah.
I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not that excited about it. So the universe is out there.
Yeah.
I don't need to understand it.
Exactly.
I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the flagstone paver in front of me to know that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Or the atoms in everything that is around us to know that atoms exist.
yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't see those with my naked eye. Like we're discarding having to use an additional tool.
Right.
Because again, if I had a time machine, I'd know if I was going to wake up in the morning or not.
It'd be a fun tool.
Or, oh my God, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to do that because that's just, I don't know. But I know that this couch is technically vibrating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even though it feels like a solid structure.
Right.
But I can't see that just looking at it. It looks pretty fucking solid to
Feels
me.
solid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cushy, but I can't put my hand through this, even though I know theoretically with the way that atoms are structured and connected, there are holes.
Right.
There are holes in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
I can
faith.
just accept that science is cool and I
Yeah.
don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I can accept that I'm a beginner in this
Yeah.
and that there's the idea of the faith of a mustard seed,
Yes. Is
which
enough
was
to begin.
which was
Yeah.
presented to me in early sobriety, that it could be the smallest of small, small, small. And if you've ever seen a mustard seed, it is super, super tiny.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
And
Why not?
and most days I'm like, why not? I am not knocking it out of the park right now.
Yeah.
So why not have faith that there's something different and make different choices, or not make different choices? Maybe just wait and see how something is going to play out
Yeah.
instead of deciding that I need to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't. I
Maybe
can
not.
just let things simmer.
Yeah.
So if anybody is, waffling about that idea of faith, the idea of trying something super, super small, which could be nothing.
Yeah.
If you're in a whirling dervish zipping around your life because you just are so super busy,
Yeah.
sit down.
Yeah.
And I've been reading another Thich Nhat Hanh book, and maybe it is one inhale, one exhale. If you can't quiet your mind enough to breathe in and out one time, you think, I am inhaling, I am exhaling.
Yes.
That means you did 5 seconds of meditation, and that counts as faith that might work for you.
Yeah.
It could be something that small.
Yeah. And, just because you don't understand it, I mean, I would rather not understand it, to be honest, because again, like, I'm just going to over intellectualize it. And that takes the beauty out of everything.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can't create a flower.
Right.
That's a power I do not have. Therefore, whatever created it is a power greater than me, whether that is just sunlight and water or not. That's still a power greater than me that I can put my faith in, that knows more than I do, that can do things I cannot do.
Yes. And do you think that for you, the resistance of faith was related at all to your control issues?
Oh,
'Cause
God,
I've
yeah.
felt that for me.
Yeah. I mean, that is, and selfishness and self-centeredness. To have faith in a power greater than me, that means that I'm not God. And I didn't want to admit that for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I obviously know what's best for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm divinely inspired. And if you would only let me help you, you'd know the right way to do things.
I.e.
Yeah.
my way.
Yeah, exactly. And it is so much, you cannot have faith if you can't let go of control.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're not having faith. You're controlling the outcome. You don't have any reasonable expectation that your hands are off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that was told to me a lot in the beginning, just in a recovery program, is you have to look for God, but you don't have to find him. You just have to look. And that was enough for me to like stop intellectualizing it, because that was like a get out of jail free card.
Right.
Yeah, like
That's a very deep thought. You don't have to.
Yeah, you
find
don't have
him,
to
but you have
find
to
God,
look
but
for
you
him.
have to look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, if I don't find him, that's fine. As soon as you open that up
Yeah.
and you just have that mustard seed worth of willingness to look,
Mm-hmm.
I can only speak for me, and in my experience, it would be impossible for me to not see a power greater than myself at play in my life. The fact that I am alive, period. The fact that I walked into a meeting of AA because I didn't want to stop drinking.
Right.
The fact that I can not drink for 24 hours. All of those things are things I cannot do on my own.
Right.
Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So there has to be something bigger than me that was propelling this. There has to be, because Genay would never have stopped drinking. That is not something I wanted. It's not something I ever planned. It's not something I ever could do. So there has to be something. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that about what you said about nature with the snowflakes. And I also think that about how miraculous the human body is, and just our involuntary systems that just keep going without, like, we never have to make our heart beat. We never have to make ourselves breathe. The involuntary systems are so phenomenal. The way we heal and our skin heals over, and it's pretty dang cool.
It is. And that, like, the end of my faith journey, I went from having 0 or negative to converting to Judaism. because that's so aligned with my conception of my higher power, and that is the faith structure that
Mm,
made me feel held and seen and all of those
yes.
things.
Safe enough to let go of the control.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And one of the first prayers when you wake up in the morning for Judaism is thanking God for the miraculous way that the human body works. And I love that you brought that up because this is like a translation from Hebrew, so this is not like as pretty as it should be.
Mhm.
If we had one more or one less orifice, our body would not work.
Huh.
So like if you blow a hole in us, we're going to bleed to death. Or if
Right.
you block up one of the holes, the exits to our body,
Right.
we're screwed.
Huh.
You got to make another hole somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the divine inspiration in that, whatever you call divinity,
Mhm.
it could just be the candy because that shit's pretty good. Um, yeah, I can't create a human body from scratch.
Yeah.
Therefore, there must be something greater at play than me.
Right.
That is the baseline. I think that I forget that, and I definitely overlooked that at the beginning. I don't need for it to be this all powerful force right now. It just has to be bigger than me.
Right. And it doesn't have to be this was a earth-shattering, mind-blowing thought for me, is it doesn't I don't have to have let me back up. Having faith isn't having faith in the white guy in the sky. It is
Yes.
having something bigger than me.
Yes. And so much more personal than that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like God as a whole, not prophets, not conceptualizations, not particular versions, not a
Mhm.
specific religious text. It is the overall power that inspired all of that.
Yeah.
It is the main source. It is the miraculous entity that began it all type of thing. Whether that's the force that caused the Big Bang for you or
Mhm.
something bigger than that. Because to me, even that force at the beginning when I was just like getting my faith, even that force, if that's what I was going to believe in, is something I could never create that amount of force.
Mhm.
So it is bigger than me.
Right.
It is bigger
Right.
than everything else that came after that.
Yes.
The mass of those items altogether was bigger than what came after that, and it split apart. Like
Mhm.
I just anything that's bigger than myself, like that's the only conception that mattered.
Mhm.
And then just giving over my control is faith.
Yeah.
Inherently, that's going to be faith in a higher power of some kind, even if that's not the words that I can use to associate with it yet. It's just faith that it's going to work out and everything's going to be okay and everyone's still going to be alive at the end of it. Like,
Yep.
even if they don't load the dishwasher the way I want them to. Like, that's faith. Because
Right.
before, I thought
Yeah.
that the world was going to end if they didn't.
Right.
And then I had to let it happen and assume that, because, I had never let it happen before.
Mhm.
Everyone might die once he loads the dishwasher.
Right. Well, they were going to die because I was going to kill them if they didn't load the
Yeah, yeah.
dishwasher.
So I had
Yeah.
to like let it happen and have
Yeah.
faith that we were all going to be okay. And then that's how my faith developed is I did that and everyone was still alive and life
Yeah.
went on. And I was like, wow, I can trust that faith. And I
Right.
put all of like experience after experience like that together. And then that created a larger faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It helps kind of build that path with those tiny little pebbles of things.
Yeah.
When I do the right thing, when I give up control, then the right things happen.
Yeah.
And seeing it on a much bigger timeline rather than, well, it didn't happen today. The dishwasher didn't get run.
Mhm.
Okay, well, over the course of a year, the dishwasher not running one time
Yeah.
is not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
Blowing up my whole world because the dishwasher didn't get loaded once,
Yeah.
that is a big deal.
Yeah. Or getting a divorce because you can't let go of the way you load the dishwasher.
Right.
Whoa.
It's not about the dishwasher.
Yeah, exactly. Let's reel this back here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you were right again. I guess I do have faith.
too.
As we talk through it this way, it is something that it is a little baby seed of faith,
Mhm.
but it is there and
all
it
that matters.
grows when I water it for sure.
That's perfect place to end. Yeah. Gotta water it. Gardener.
I know, right? Why can't I listen to myself? I'm sure getting a lot of water these days.
Right?
God, I'll be
Oh,
glad
Lord.
when the rain stops.
Yes. It's necessary, but damn if it doesn't make me have to wear sparkly blazers to get through the
Yeah.
day.
Crushing it.
Better coping skills than before. That is the goal. They don't have to be perfect, just better than before.
Yes, and that is a great segue into my joy of
Yes.
so when this episode comes out, I will be about ready to leave for a work trip that is going to be a week. This is for my day job.
Ooh.
And I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be Southern California, so it
Oh
should
my
be better
gosh.
weather than the week of rain that we've had right now. However, I will have to do a whole lot of peopling. Like
Mm.
basically, it is a week of team building and bonding
I'll
in
pray for you.
communication. Yes.
I have faith that you'll do great, though.
Well, what has worked for me is listening to suggestions.
Mm.
And one of those suggestions is to find meetings wherever I go.
Yes.
So this week, as we're recording it, we got the name of, or we got the hotel we're going to be staying at. And I have found an AA meeting that meets every day, 7 days a week at 6:15 California time. So I'm going to be up anyway because it's 9:15 our time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will be able to get to, it's a mile and a half from the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't look walkable, but we are financially okay enough that I can just get the rental car even if work doesn't expense it.
Yeah.
Um what was I going to say? It meets 7 days a week, 6:15. Oh, so I can go there, get that done, and still if there are breakfast meetings or people want to meet for breakfast to have more team building before the team building, shoot me. I can take care of myself before the day
Yes.
starts.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have always done that because I would have been like, oh, I need to, sleep in, self-care, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not that's not really true. And this
Yeah.
really could have been the joy for the last episode if I wanted to connect it with that topic. But the idea of faith in the program, faith in the other people in the program
Yeah.
really strikes me as gosh, I don't know if it's joyful just as much as I feel a lot of pride in myself
Yeah.
that I'm willing to do something different, and that does bring me joy because I see myself growing. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to connect it to. My words aren't coming very well, which is super great for a podcaster. Save me and tell me what your joy is, or if you have anything to say about mine.
Yeah. This is like conference season for recovery programs and I guess for outside work apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I am planning on going to some conferences and it's been a while since I've been.
Nice.
I mean, pre-COVID, the last conference that I went to for a recovery program was February of 2020, the very beginning.
Yep. Are you
Um,
patient zero? I'm just
no,
kidding.
we went to the beach. I can't remember which beach now. Anyway, we heard some speakers that we went to go see speakers that we really like because we knew they were going to be there.
Mhm.
Same thing is happening, and I'm planning. I think one is in March and one is in the summer.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited because I haven't done any of that in a while, and it feels good to get back
Yeah.
connected with that because I do love a big group of people. Just
Singleness
knowing,
of purpose.
yes. And
Mhm.
I mean, that connects with faith for me so much. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I chose to dip my toe back into organized religion because that singleness of purpose and knowing that are they are worshiping and all worshiping in the same way to a similar conception of a higher power is like
Mm.
super cool. And then I have the other side of it, which is my spiritual side, because those are different. Religion and spirituality are very different. And faith to me has to do with spirituality, not religion,
Mm.
to tie it fully back.
Yeah.
But like my recovery program is full spiritual.
Mhm.
And I know that it's singleness of purpose, and they have all been where I've been and felt how I felt, and either don't feel that way anymore or are searching to not feel that way in whatever, phase of life we're in. And oh, it's just awesome. And I miss that, and I'm excited to like have
Yeah.
that on the books.
Would it be appropriate if we linked in the show notes to the conferences that you're going to?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, there probably won't be any of like the blocked off hotel rooms left. Like there's already one that the hotel's
It's
sold
full.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I mean, there's other avenues you can go down, Airbnb and all that stuff. The conference, I don't think has a cap, other than like what the room will hold, which I've never seen that overflow.
Yeah.
But yeah, great speakers. I mean, I will warn you because it's me. They're going to be very big book heavy, and focused on that. And the speakers are very kindness with honesty, not niceness,
Mm-hmm.
versions of the program.
Is Jean speaking again? That sounds right up Jean's
I know,
alley.
right? Yeah, it's if you know who Jean is and you're listening to this, it's
Jean
going to
from
be a lot
Greensboro.
of that. Yeah. It's the basis of the group that I'm a home group member of, the primary purpose group. It's a lot of that, and that's
Yeah.
what I need, and that's what I love is structure and clear
Yeah.
cut, and here is the no nonsense version, and then I can soften that however I want instead of
Yeah.
starting with the soft version and that not working for me. I can't harden anything, but I can definitely soften it.
Right. Well, sometimes I think when we soften it, it's not clear and
Yes,
we can take
yeah.
it different ways. And I have a one to add to that list of conferences that's going to be in October in Indianapolis. If
Ooh,
people are interested in that, I don't have a lot of details, but someone sent me a flyer. So
nice.
yeah, we'll hook you up, everybody.
Yes. So we'll have all that linked in the show notes. We are at Conscious Contact Podcast on Instagram. The website is the same, consciouscontactpodcast.com. Come hang out over there, sign up, and so you can be up to date on whenever we have another book club. The goings on, all of that. Follow along for all of our misadventures on social media. Um,
That's so true. Oh my God.
right. And I am at Genay Peavey on Instagram. Where are you?
I am at Jesus Christ. I don't look up Jesus Christ. That is not where I am on Instagram. Sustainable underscore Sue on Instagram, or you can find me at sustainablesue.com.
I love it.
Holy cow.
That was a little prayer right before your Instagram handle. Love it.
Too funny.
Well,
Thanks, everyone. We'll see
thank
you next
you.
week.
See ya.